Hello and welcome. I'm Kay, and I like to tell stories. Mostly they will be true stories of my experiences. In this segment, though, I'm going to be talking about my observations of students who almost slipped through the cracks at my school as I grew up. I became an adult in the mid 80s, so this kind of gives you a time reference. The first one I remember observing was in my freshman year. I was sitting in my math class. About 7 of us or so were called out of the math room. We were just ushered down the hall and we went into the gymnasium. There were some other students there. We were seated at these longer tables and we were just paired up with another student, not in our math class. We didn't know who they were or what they were doing. In that little coupling there, we were instructed just to help the students with their math. The problems that they'd given them on a piece of paper and just walk them through it. So as I'm sitting there, this boy that was across from me, he was a nice guy, very quiet though. He's trying his best to do it. I mean, it's not that he was just farting around and not accomplishing anything. He would get stuck and I would say, well, this is what you need to do. Because there were different things, but he really got stuck on the long multiplication where he had double, triple digits multiplied by triple digits. So I said, well, let's take it one step at a time. You multiply this number by that number, and then we'll go on to the next one and we'll put the 0 here for a placeholder. And he's just not getting it. He's really not. And I said, well, what's 7 times 8? And he just kind of sat there like he was trying to think about it, but he didn't know. I said, okay, well, I'll give you the answer here, but what's this times this? And he just didn't know. And I said, oh, sometimes you just have to go back to the multiplication tables. And he just kind of looked at me and he didn't seem to know what those were. Do you know what the multiplication tables are? And he said, no. So I started writing it out on the chart as a graph and turning around, what about these? Do you recognize these? This is what I meant. No, he had never seen it before. And I sat there for a minute and I'm like, oh, that's okay, all right. Just a second, I'll be right back. So I went up to tell the teacher who was sitting in the gymnasium overseeing all of this, I have a problem. He doesn't know his multiplication tables. And she just looked for about 10 seconds and said, I was afraid you were going to tell me that. I leaned down towards her. I said, but how can he be in 9th grade and not know these? She said, I just don't know. I don't have an answer. I just kind of let it go and sat back down and just kind of talked with the kid, tried to teach him a little something. That's one time where this group of kids, they could have slipped through the cracks. However, people did notice it. They did try to execute a plan to kind of see where they were and to see if one-on-one tutoring would be more helpful. They did try. It's just they were left in the dust so long ago that it was hopeless. So in my senior year, there was a girl named Cindy. She had a lot of bullies after her for some reason. I don't know why. She's a very nice girl. And we were in government class together, amongst other classes here and there over the span of the 4 years I was in high school. Very nice girl. We were in government. For a portion of it, it would be the teacher lecturing. So he would explain, whatever the pages were that we had, most of us read the night before. He would give his thoughts on it and maybe go over it a little bit more. So I would take notes on this, everything he said. And after class, Cindy, she would ask me little questions. She would want to know, what did he mean by this? Oh, that's whatever it is. So I said, well, I have my notes. I mean, you probably can't read them because I had my own special shorthand abbreviated words that I knew what they meant. I don't know if you can understand them, but you can have my notes until tomorrow. And she was so thrilled to take them. So she took them. This went on for a while. And one day the teacher got called out of the classroom. It was some sort of emergency. It was over the intercom. And he got up and left and he told us, just sit still, sit there, just keep working on your thing. Don't get up and do stuff. Don't leave the classroom. And he buzzed out of there real fast. So it was a few minutes before an administrator came in, a more minor one that we didn't really know, and she wasn't a principal or anything. During that interim there, one of the girls I just couldn't stand. She was just awful. I hated her since junior high. She was sitting in front of me. There was a guy in between us, and she was lucky for that. She turned to Cindy, and she just goes, duh, Cindy, right there. And the entire class burst out laughing, just hysterically funny, because she's not very clever, and she never had been. I looked around the room and I saw each and every student sitting in there, guffaw, 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 laugh, and it was just so funny. She's looking around to admire her work because she's got to see this. Oh, she's nodding and looking. And she looked at me, and I don't know what that look was that I had on my face, but it was something that was bad because she turned around immediately. I don't know what my face was, but I was ready to just pound her, and I considered getting up and just popping her one in the head. We're seniors. We're just about to be unleashed on the world. I couldn't understand this. The administrator came in and everything went to normal. I just didn't speak to anybody in the class. I came in, I sat down, got my books open. I didn't have anything to say to anybody after that. And there were a couple guys in the class that, well, I really liked them over the years. And they were, I thought, decent guys. I just didn't even speak to them. They wanted to know what was wrong. I was like, I don't have time for this. And I just ignored it. Continuing on with Cindy, my point is she's taken it from everyone. Everyone's hostile towards her. They don't even want to help her, and they just don't care. I was giving her my notes from time to time as we would walk down the hall. Maybe if there was something she didn't quite explain, I would just let her know what it kind of meant. I'd paraphrase. So this continued on until Cindy had left the classroom. I was about to leave when the government teacher stopped me and wanted to talk to me. I was like, whatever. So I do it. He's trying to talk to me about my interactions with Cindy, with aspects of government and things that she was uncertain of. Keep in mind, I'm used to her being 100%, 99% bullied. I didn't do anything like that. I just think as he's speaking, he's trying to tell me you really shouldn't be giving her notes and stuff like that. I said, why not? She wants the help. She doesn't understand it. And he said, well, you really shouldn't be speaking to other students about government outside of class. I'm looking at him standing there. I can speak about any class I want to. I do it other times with my best friend. If we were sleeping over, we would go over classes that we had, maybe not at the same time, but classes that she had, and then I had at a different time. So yeah, the subject came up. I said to him, I was like, if I were staying at Cindy's house or she was staying at mine and the subject of government came up, we most certainly could talk about it because I already have. It's perfectly fine. And on the bus, we used to talk about it with my best friend. He says, something about my grade. And I looked at him, I'm like, I'm not failing. I said, I've never flunked anything in my life. I can still help her. I want her to pass because this is a required class and she won't graduate. And he said, well, who do you think would be better to teach her? I said, well, you, of course. You're certainly more knowledgeable. And he said, then wouldn't it be better for her to come in and speak to me about these aspects of government? I said, yes, it would. And I asked him, but would you do that? He goes, yes. If she asked me for help, I would definitely have to, well, he said obligated, I believe. I would be obligated to help her. And that really bothered me, the way he said it. Obligated, okay. And I said, Cindy's not going to do that. And he looked at me, and this time I think he just finally dropped the facade. And he said, I know, but maybe you could talk to her. I'm like, well, I'm pretty sure she's not going to come in here. I could ask her, she could get a little better grade. I'm not sure if that's what concerns her or if she just wants to pass the class. I will talk to her. Meanwhile, I get out of the door. Cindy is still kind of lingering down the hallway, and I caught up with her. I don't know, maybe she thought I was in trouble or something. And, I'm just going to be forward with her. I'm just going to ask her straight up. So I said, well, Cindy, I can continue to give you notes, and I know that you'll try really hard. I can guarantee you that you will pass this class. With what I'm doing, with how we've been, if we continue, you will pass this class. I guarantee it. I said, but there is another option. If you wanted a better grade, I don't know if you do, he would be the better one to spend time with on this subject. So I said, really, it comes down to, do you want to pass or are you looking for a better grade? She got quiet for a second. She thought, I would like the better grade, she said. Okay, that really impressed me. And this just goes to show you how not dumb this girl is. So I said, well, come on in and we'll talk. Oh, I couldn't. He's sitting there. There's nobody in the classroom. Let's just go. Let's just see what he says. I walked in, I said, and I can't for the life of me remember the teacher's name, Mr. So-and-so, and he looked up because he was all busy at the desk, right? He's got things to do. And he looks up, oh, yes, hi. I had just seen him a minute ago. And so I should have been tipped off that, yeah, I'll get to that in a minute. And I said, well, Cindy has something she wants to ask you. And he goes, well, hi, Cindy. Sure. He sat back with his leg up in the most casual position, which he was not sitting in when he was speaking to me. He leaned back in his chair. Have a seat, Cindy. And she sat down. He's all nice and he's sweet. What's going on here? And he said, well, what can I help you with, Cindy? She says, well, I'm having a little bit of a hard time. He goes, well, what mainly is it? He said, we're still being nice and sweet. And she said, well, it came down to that she didn't understand his vocabulary because she was one of the ones stuck in these special classes on a separate wing of our high school. So she doesn't even know these words that he's saying. She's never heard them. She has no idea. And this is what was stumping the girl. Once we established that, he was very willing to help her there. And I realized this was kind of going good. I'm backing up step by step. And I just tipped her down. I'll see you at class tomorrow, Cindy. Bye. And I slipped out the door because I realized I'd been had. He was using me to get Cindy to come in and ask so that he could tutor her. This would not embarrass her or anything like that. It was very clever. He got me. And yeah. So I do want to continue on with my classmates almost slipping through the cracks. This is the last 2 days of our class. This is it. We're going to be done with school forever. Well, for high school forever. And we're sitting in study hall because we had 3 classes on the second to last day. Last day, we had 3 classes, so they were double classes. So we're sitting in study hall for one of them. My friend Pat, he's a really nice guy. I think I remember him back in junior high, but I knew him throughout all of high school. Very strong individual, didn't take anybody's crap, did not like the bullying that we saw. Yes, I use it as a verb. He's sitting there, he's got his head in his hand. He's like, oh, like this. He's just groaning. And I'm like, well, what's going on? And a couple other girls with me too. And they're like, yeah, Pat, what's wrong? I don't get this. Well, maybe we could help you with it. It was his composition. I'd already had composition the year before in junior, and he's now taking it second semester. Does not have an opportunity for a second chance. So this is very important, as in he's not going to graduate if he doesn't get this. He's got nothing done on it. He's got the book, though. He's got all of that. He's read the book because we're asking him these questions, shows us the book, and he's telling us all this. He can comprehend what he read. He just can't write it. It's not just writer's block. He's got a little writer's block, but he doesn't know the technique for writing a composition paper. He doesn't know how to do the outline, bibliography, things like that. I'm sitting there horrified. This is the second to last day of high school. He slipped through the cracks. When the composition teacher is handing back his paper, it's going to be all red. He's going to have red marker here, red pen over here. This is wrong. But she knew this, that he did not understand because his regular paper, the actual paper, would not have been correct. The actual outline would not have been correct. So she knew this. She let it go for the entire semester and didn't help him. So we're sitting in here and the girls and I are like, what? We could probably help you with it. Yeah, we can help you. Sure. We looked at it and he knew this stuff. And I said, okay, there's such a thing as a rough draft. So there are usually 3 things that you're turning in. Pat, do the rough draft, okay? Just start writing what you know. If you need to look in the book, that's fine. So he just started writing it out. Doesn't matter. As he's writing, he's getting a page done. We're taking his page and we're doing stuff. So I'm taking it. I'm going to write the outline. Yeah, I already know what he said. I know what the outline is. So he's already done it. So I organize it nicely. At the same time, doing the bibliography and all these other things for the sources. Well, 4 of us really, because Pat's trying. He's doing everything he knows how to do. We're all working on this. And I'll be dang, but we got that thing done in that study hall. His entire term paper, rough draft. And he had to recopy everything. That's the other thing that was really important. You didn't type stuff that you turned in, book reports and that. Well, that was partly to verify that you actually wrote it. I realized quickly that we're going to have all these different handwritings. This isn't going to work. He goes, I could recopy it. Yeah, sure, Pat. Let's do that. So that's what he did. As we're finishing something, he's taking it verbatim, writing it out exactly in his writing on his paper and everything. But we did manage to bust that out. We did get it turned in for him. I don't know what grade he got, but he did graduate. I was very happy because he didn't deserve that. Teachers should have been more alert. I do want to speak about teachers because I have invested interest in that. My uncle was a teacher at that same school, and he taught a couple things. He taught speech, but he also taught mass media. I had him for both of those. And I saw how he was with his students, right? One time I was sitting pretty much in the center of the classroom, and there was a guy on the left, and he goes up to this kid, and he very discreetly leans down, kneels down, and he says, I was just wondering if you understood this part of whatever it was that we were doing. And the kid just had this instant, shame, turned his head, and my uncle said, no, you're not in trouble or anything like that. I just wondered if you kind of understood this or not, because I could clarify some things. And then finally the kid said, well, there's this one thing I didn't really understand. My uncle said, I have time every morning. I'm here in the classroom at such time. We would have 10 minutes. I would be happy to go over any of this with you. And that's how I saw and figured teachers should work. This is why I was so outraged on the last day for Pat. Come on, he doesn't know this stuff. So anyway, that's kind of my rant for this. But I just wanted to point out things that real teachers who actually care, trying to teach, not just get through the day or pass them on the next year, how they can impact and help and make the difference between someone flunking and not graduating or moving on and possibly getting a little higher education, depending on what their interests are. But yeah, I just want to give a shout out to my uncle. May he rest in peace. Love him, and I thank him for all of that. Thank you for listening. I'll have some more stories in the future, true stories. I appreciate your time. You want to leave a like, go ahead. Got anything to say? Comments, that's great. You take care till next time. Bye.